Michael J. Crocodile Dundee.
Never. Safaris.
See those rocks sticking up there? Been standing up there for 600 million years. Still be there when you and I are gone.
The story of Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan has always fascinated fans of classic movies. Their romance seemed like something straight out of a film script. When audiences first watched them together in the hit movie Crocodile Dundee, many believed their chemistry was simply great acting. But soon people realized that the connection between them was real. They were not just characters on the screen. They were two actors whose lives were becoming closely linked behind the cameras as well. Over time, their relationship became one of the most talked about stories in Hollywood and Australia. Fans loved seeing how their on-screen romance slowly turned into a real-life love story. However, like many relationships in the world of entertainment, their story was not always simple. There were happy moments, professional success, family life, and also challenges that changed the course of their lives. Linda later spoke openly about her experiences during the filming of the movie and the years that followed. While she admired Paul's charm and talent, she also noticed certain moments when his behavior surprised her. These moments made her reflect on their relationship and the complicated life that often comes with fame. Their journey together included love, marriage, a family, and eventually a peaceful separation many years later. Understanding what happened between them requires looking at both their careers and their personal lives. Their story is not just about a movie set, but about two people whose lives became deeply connected during one of the most successful films of the 1980s. Before becoming famous around the world, Linda Kozlowski lived a fairly normal life in the United States. She was born in Fairfield, Connecticut, and grew up in a supportive family that encouraged her interests and talents. From an early age, she showed a strong passion for acting and performing. While other children were still discovering their hobbies, Linda was already thinking about how she could build a future in the arts. She attended local schools and later graduated from Andrew Ward High School, where she continued developing her interest in theater. Determined to become a professional actress, she eventually studied drama at the prestigious Juilliard School in New York City. Juilliard is known as one of the most respected schools for performers, and many famous actors have trained there. Linda worked hard during her time at the school, learning the skills required for stage acting, voice control, and emotional performance. After completing her studies, she began building her career through theater work. One of her early opportunities came in an off-Broadway production called How It All Began. Theater acting allowed her to gain valuable experience and confidence. Later, she appeared in the famous play Death of a Salesman by the legendary playwright Arthur Miller. In the stage production, she played the role of Miss Forsyth. Her performance impressed many people in the theater community, and she was even able to repeat the same role in a film adaptation. These early achievements showed that Linda had real talent and dedication. Although she had not yet become a major star, her career was slowly moving forward, and she was gaining the experience that would soon change her life forever. The moment that truly transformed Linda Kozlowski's career came in 1986 when she was cast as Sue Charlton in the adventure comedy film Crocodile Dundee. The movie told the story of an Australian crocodile hunter who travels from the wild outback to New York City and experiences a completely different world. The role of the adventurous reporter Sue Charlton required someone who could balance intelligence, curiosity, and humor. Linda fit the part perfectly. When filming began, she met her co-star Paul Hogan, who already had a reputation in Australia for his comedy and television work. Hogan played the unforgettable character McDundee, a charming and fearless man from the Australian wilderness. The combination of his relaxed humor and Linda's confident performance created a natural and enjoyable chemistry on screen. As the cameras rolled, audiences could see how comfortable the two actors seemed together. Their scenes were filled with playful conversations and memorable moments that made viewers smile. What many people did not know at the time was that their connection was growing behind the scenes as well. Spending long hours together during filming allowed them to know each other better. According to interviews given later, Linda noticed that Paul had a strong personality. He was friendly, funny, and very confident, qualities that made him popular with the film crew. Yet there were also moments when his mood changed or when his behavior surprised her. These small observations did not immediately create problems, but they did make Linda more aware that Paul was a complex person. Still, the success of the movie quickly overshadowed everything else. When the film was released, it became a massive international hit and turned both actors into worldwide stars. The success of Crocodile Dundee was far greater than anyone expected. The film became one of the biggest hits of the decade and introduced global audiences to Paul Hogan's unique sense of humor and Australian culture. Linda's role as Sue Charlton was also widely praised. Critics and fans appreciated the way she portrayed a smart and independent journalist who was not afraid to explore unfamiliar places. Her performance earned her a nomination at the Golden Globe Awards, which brought even more attention to her rising career. Suddenly, Linda found herself appearing in newspapers and magazines around the world. Interviews, television appearances, and promotional events became a regular part of her life. At the same time, the connection between Linda and Paul continued to grow stronger. Their on-screen romance had become real, and the public quickly noticed the affection between them. However, their relationship also attracted some criticism because Paul was still married when they first met during the production of the film. His marriage to Nolene Edwards had already experienced several ups and downs, including divorce and remarriage. When his relationship with Linda became known, many people discussed it in the media. Despite the attention and the criticism, Linda and Paul continued to see each other. They appeared together again in the sequel Crocodile Dundee 2, which continued the story of their characters. The second film strengthened their popularity as a couple both on screen and in real life. Eventually, their relationship became serious enough that they decided to build a future together. Their romance had started during one of the most famous movie productions of the time, and it was now turning into a lasting partnership. In 1990, Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan decided to take the next step in their relationship and got married. By that time, they had already spent several years together and had experienced the intense attention that comes with being famous actors. Their marriage seemed like a natural continuation of the romance that had started during the filming of Crocodile Dundee. Many fans viewed their wedding as a happy ending to the love story that had begun on screen. Paul was known for his humorous personality and generous gestures, and he reportedly built a large home for Linda as a special wedding gift. The couple continued working together on various projects, including films like Almost an Angel and later Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. During these years, their relationship appeared strong, and they enjoyed spending time together both at work and at home. In 1998, their family grew when they welcomed their son, Chance Hogan. Becoming parents brought new meaning to their lives. Linda often spoke about how motherhood changed her priorities. She gradually stepped away from acting because she wanted to focus on raising her child and creating a stable family life. While Paul continued working in entertainment, Linda found happiness in a quieter routine away from the busy Hollywood environment. For many years, their life together seemed peaceful and balanced. They lived mostly outside the spotlight, enjoying family time and raising their son. However, as time passed, the differences in their personalities and interests slowly became more noticeable, setting the stage for changes that neither of them expected when their romance first began. After more than 2 decades together, Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan surprised many people when they announced their separation in 2013. Their marriage had lasted about 23 years, which is a long time by Hollywood standards. Despite this, Linda later explained that the decision to divorce was not filled with anger or conflict. Instead, it came from a gradual realization that their lives were moving in different directions. According to her interviews, she felt that she had spent many years living in Paul's shadow and wanted to rediscover her own independence. She described the separation as an opportunity to find her own identity again after years of focusing on family life. Paul shared similar thoughts about their relationship. He admitted that their differences had always been part of what attracted them to each other in the beginning. Over time, however, those same differences made it harder for them to maintain the same connection. Even though their marriage ended, both of them emphasized that they still respected each other. They also remained committed to raising their son together and continued communicating regularly. Their divorce settlement allowed them to move forward peacefully. Paul kept the rights to the Crocodile Dundee character and related business interests, while Linda received a financial settlement. Most importantly, they agreed to share responsibility for their son's upbringing. Instead of becoming enemies, they managed to maintain a friendly relationship. Linda even mentioned in interviews that they still talked on the phone and occasionally spent time together as friends. While Linda was adjusting to her life after the divorce, Paul Hogan was dealing with a completely different set of challenges. Over the years, his name had appeared in headlines not only because of his acting career but also because of a long legal dispute involving tax investigations. Australian authorities, including the Australian Taxation Office, began examining financial arrangements connected to the profits from his films. The investigation became part of a much larger effort known as Operation Wickenby, which looked into suspected international tax avoidance schemes. For several years, the situation created stress and uncertainty for Hogan. Media reports discussed the possibility that millions of dollars from film earnings had been moved into offshore accounts. Hogan strongly denied the accusations and repeatedly stated that he had paid his taxes correctly. The investigation lasted many years and attracted significant public attention because of Hogan's fame. At times, the situation became very complicated, involving legal arguments, court hearings, and negotiations between lawyers and government agencies. Eventually, the authorities decided not to proceed with criminal charges against him, which allowed him to move forward without facing prosecution. However, the long investigation still affected his public image and created a difficult period in his life. Although these legal issues were separate from his relationship with Linda, they added another layer to the story of a man who had once been known mostly for his humor and film success. After leaving Hollywood and ending her marriage, Linda Kozlowski chose to live a quieter life away from the entertainment industry. Unlike many actors who continue seeking roles for decades, she decided that acting was no longer her main priority. Her last major screen appearance had been in 2001 when she returned as Sue Charlton in Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. After that project, she gradually stepped out of the spotlight. Linda explained in interviews that she had become unhappy with the types of roles being offered to her. Many scripts did not feel meaningful or interesting enough, and she preferred to focus on other aspects of life instead. After her divorce, she explored new opportunities outside the film world. She eventually moved to Morocco, where she started a travel-related business that organizes tours and cultural experiences for visitors. This new direction allowed her to combine her love of travel with entrepreneurship. It also gave her the freedom to build something of her own rather than living in the shadow of a famous film character or a well-known marriage. Looking back, Linda's journey shows how a single movie can change a person's life in unexpected ways. Crocodile Dundee brought her fame, love, family, and eventually personal transformation. Although the romance that started on that film set did not last forever, the experiences she gained from it shaped her life in lasting ways. Even years after their separation, many fans still look back at the story of Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan with curiosity and nostalgia. Their relationship remains closely connected to the success of Crocodile Dundee, which continues to be remembered as one of the most popular adventure comedies of the 1980s. When the film was first released, audiences around the world were fascinated not only by the humor and the cultural differences shown in the story, but also by the natural connection between the two lead actors. Many viewers believed that their chemistry was one of the main reasons the film felt so authentic and enjoyable. Because their romance eventually became real, the movie gained an extra layer of interest for fans. People began to see their characters as reflections of their real personalities. Linda's portrayal of a curious and determined reporter matched her real-life image as a thoughtful and intelligent woman, while Paul's relaxed charm mirrored the easygoing nature that made him famous in Australia. Over the years, interviews with both actors revealed how their time working together changed their lives. Linda later explained that meeting Paul during such an important moment in her career created a deep emotional connection. However, she also acknowledged that working closely with someone in a high-pressure environment like a film set can reveal different sides of a person. Long days of filming, constant travel, and intense media attention can bring out both positive and challenging traits. Looking back, Linda's reflections show that their story was more complex than the simple romance many fans imagined at the time. Today, the legacy of Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan continues to be closely linked to the lasting popularity of Crocodile Dundee. The film remains an important part of movie history because it introduced audiences to a unique blend of comedy, adventure, and cultural storytelling. For many viewers, the movie represents a moment in time when simple humor and charming characters could capture the imagination of millions of people around the world. The story of Mick Dundee traveling from the Australian wilderness to the busy streets of New York created a fun contrast that audiences loved. At the center of that story was the relationship between Mick and Sue, which reflected curiosity, trust, and mutual respect. Those qualities helped the characters feel believable and relatable. Although Linda eventually left the acting world, her performance in the film remains the role that people remember most. Paul Hogan also continues to be associated with the character he created, which became a symbol of Australian culture and international entertainment. While their marriage ended many years after the film's success, both actors have spoken about their shared past with appreciation rather than bitterness. Their ability to maintain a friendly relationship after divorce is something that many people admire. In the end, their story reminds audiences that real life is often more complicated than the stories told on screen. Relationships can change, careers can evolve, and people can choose new paths. Yet the moments they shared during the creation of one unforgettable movie will always remain part of film history and continue to capture the curiosity of fans for generations. As the years passed, the lives of Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan continued to move in different directions, yet the impact of their shared history never truly disappeared. Their journey together had begun during the filming of Crocodile Dundee, a production that changed both of their lives in ways they could not have predicted at the time. For Linda, the film opened the door to worldwide fame almost overnight. Before that role, she had been working steadily in theater and smaller productions, but the movie suddenly placed her in front of millions of viewers around the globe. With success came attention, interviews, and constant public curiosity about her personal life. Being in a relationship with Paul Hogan only increased that attention because he was already a well-known entertainer. While many fans admired their romance, living under such a spotlight could also feel overwhelming. Linda later suggested that the entertainment industry often places enormous pressure on relationships, especially when both partners are connected to a major film project. During the filming process, she observed how Paul managed fame with confidence and humor, traits that helped him succeed as an actor and comedian. At the same time, she noticed that the stress of work and the expectations of the public sometimes affected his mood or behavior. These observations were not necessarily dramatic conflicts, but they helped her understand that life with a famous partner would always include challenges. Looking back, Linda has often spoken about those years with honesty, explaining that the experience taught her valuable lessons about independence, identity, and the complicated balance between personal happiness and public success. In the end, the story of Linda Kozlowski and Paul Hogan is remembered as more than just a celebrity romance. It represents a unique chapter in film history, where a successful movie created a real relationship that lasted for decades before eventually coming to a natural conclusion. Their journey began with the excitement and creativity of filmmaking when two actors met while bringing characters to life for audiences around the world. Over time, their partnership grew into marriage, family life, and shared memories that lasted more than 20 years.